Commander Sarah Chen pressed her back against the cold metal wall as another explosion shook the space station. Red warning lights flashed everywhere, and the sound of breaking glass echoed through the corridors. She could hear the alien voices. Getting closer, those terrible clicking sounds that the Catherians made when they talked. Sarah looked at her watch. They had been fighting for 18 hours straight. Her soldiers were tired, hurt, and running out of bullets. Outside the station's windows, she could see Earth below, covered in smoke and fire. The beautiful blue planet that had been humanity's home for millions of years was dying. The Catherian Empire had come from the stars 3 years ago. At first, they seemed to want to talk. They said they were explorers, just like humans. But that was a lie. They wanted to take everything. They had already destroyed colonies on Mars and Jupiter's moons. Now they were here for Earth itself. Sarah's radio crackled to life. "Commander, this is Lieutenant Torres. They've broken through. Sector 7. We can't hold them much longer." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. She had known this day would come. The Catherians had better weapons, bigger ships, and more soldiers than humans could ever imagine. They called humans primitive mammals and laughed at their technology. But humans had something the aliens didn't understand. They never gave up. "All units, fall back to the command center," Sarah said into her radio. "We're going to make our last stand there." Sarah ran through the station's hallways. The walls were covered with pictures of Earth, green forests, blue oceans, and white clouds. Soon, all of that would be gone. The Catherians would strip mine the planet and turn it into another dead rock in space. She reached the command center where 12 of her soldiers waited. They looked scared but determined. These were the last defenders of humanity. When they died, the human race would be finished. "Commander," said Sergeant Rodriguez. "What are your orders?" Sarah walked to the main computer terminal. On the screen, she could see the Catherian fleet, thousands of dark ships surrounding Earth like angry wasps. Their weapons were charging for the final attack that would destroy every human city. "There's something I need to tell you," Sarah said. "Something the government kept secret from everyone, even from us." The soldiers gathered around her. Outside, they could hear the aliens getting closer. Their clicking voices were louder now, mixed with the sound of their heavy boots on metal floors. "Before the war started, our leaders knew this might happen," Sarah continued. "They built something, a secret defense system called Winter's End. It's been hidden on Earth for over 200 years. "What kind of defense system?" asked Torres. Sarah's fingers moved across the computer keyboard. Hidden files appeared on the screen, files marked with the highest security codes. "I don't know exactly what it is, but it was designed to activate if humanity ever faced extinction." The aliens were almost at the command center now. Sarah could see their shadows moving past the doorway. The Catherians were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their black eyes showed no mercy. "The activation code is here," Sarah said, pointing at the screen. "But someone has to stay and enter it manually. The system won't work with a remote signal." The soldiers understood what she meant. Whoever stayed would die. The aliens would not take prisoners. "I'll do it," Sarah said. "You need to get to the escape pods." "No way, Commander," Rodriguez said. "We stick together." Sarah smiled. This was why humans were special. They cared about each other, even when everything was hopeless. The Catherians would never understand that. The door to the command center exploded inward. Smoke filled the room and alien soldiers poured through the opening. They moved fast, their 4 arms holding different weapons. Their leader was taller than the others, with metal plates covering his gray skin. "Surrender, primitive mammals," the alien leader said in broken human language. "Your species is finished." Sarah's soldiers opened fire. The sound of gunshots was deafening in the small room. Some aliens fell, but more kept coming. The humans fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 10 to 1. Sarah crawled behind the computer terminal as bullets flew over her head. She could see the activation code on the screen, waiting for her to press the Enter key. But first, she needed to understand what Winter's End really was. She scrolled through the files quickly. Most of it was technical data she didn't understand. But then she found something that made her heart skip. Project Lazarus, cryogenic preservation, enhanced soldiers. The words didn't make complete sense, but she got the basic idea. Humanity had prepared for this day. Somewhere on Earth, sleeping soldiers were waiting to wake up. A Cytherian soldier spotted Sarah behind the terminal. He raised his weapon, but Rodriguez jumped in front of the alien and tackled him to the ground. They rolled across the floor. "Fighting hand to hand! Commander, now!" Rodriguez shouted as he wrestled with the alien. Sarah's finger hovered over the Enter key. Around her, her soldiers were falling one by one. Torres was down, blood on his uniform. 2 more soldiers lay, still near the broken door. But they had bought her the time she needed. The alien leader saw what Sarah was doing. He pushed through his own soldiers trying to reach her. His black eyes were wide with anger. "Stop her!" he screamed in his clicking language. Sarah looked at the screen one more time. The activation code was simple, just 4 numbers, 1776. She almost smiled. Even in humanity's darkest hour, they remembered their history. She pressed Enter. The computer screen flashed green. Deep below on Earth's surface, signals raced through buried cables to hidden facilities in the Arctic and Antarctic. Ancient systems that had waited patiently for over 2 centuries began to wake up. The alien leader reached Sarah just as she finished. His weapon fired, and pain exploded through her chest. She fell backward, her vision getting dark around the edges. "Too late, primitive mammal," the alien said. "Your planet is ours now." Sarah coughed and blood came up, but she was still smiling. "You don't know what you've just woken up," she whispered. The alien leader looked confused. On his wrist, a communication device was flashing. He spoke into it in his own language, then listened to the reply. His expression changed from confusion to worry. "What is happening on the planet's surface?" he demanded, but Sarah was already unconscious. The battle for the space station was over. The last human defenders were dead. The Cytherian Empire had won, just like they always did. Their ships moved into position around Earth, ready to begin the mining operations. But far below, on the frozen surface of the planet, something was stirring. In places where no human had walked for generations, ice was beginning to crack. Ancient facilities were powering up, their nuclear reactors coming online after centuries of sleep. The Cytherians celebrated their victory. They sent messages across the galaxy, announcing that another primitive species had been eliminated. Earth would be stripped of its resources and turned into a lifeless husk, just like hundreds of other worlds. They had no idea that their real war with humanity was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Cytherian Empire conquered Earth. The planet looked very different now. Where green forests once grew, massive mining machines dug deep holes in the ground. The blue oceans were turning gray from pollution. Most of the cities lay in ruins, their broken buildings reaching toward a sky filled with alien ships. High Stratarch Zefkar stood in his command center, looking down at the planet through large windows. He was the military leader of the occupation. Force, a tall Cytherian with silver metal plates covering his gray skin. His 4 arms moved constantly as he worked, checking reports and giving orders. "The mining operations are ahead of schedule," reported his second-in-command, Tactical Officer Vexhan. "We have extracted 40% more resources than expected." Zefkar nodded with satisfaction. Earth was rich in the rare metals that powered Cytherian technology. In just a few more months, they would have enough materials to build 100 new warships. Then they could continue their expansion across the galaxy. "What about the primitive mammals?" Zefkar asked. "Have we found any survivors?" "No, High Stratarch. Our sensors show no human life signs anywhere on the planet. The species is extinct. Zefkar felt pleased. The humans had been more troublesome than most primitive species. They had actually managed to destroy several Cytherian ships during the war. But in the end, their stubborn fighting spirit had only delayed the inevitable. A junior officer approached with a data pad. "Hi, Stratarch. The geology team wants to report some unusual readings." "What kind of readings?" Zefkar asked. Not really interested. "Geological reports were boring. Seismic activity in the polar regions, sir. Small earthquakes and ice movements. They say it might be related to our mining operations." Zefkar waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Of course it is. When you remove that much material from a planet, the ground shifts. Tell the geology team to stop wasting my time with obvious explanations." The junior officer bowed and left. Zefkar turned back to his view of Earth, watching the mining machines work. He didn't know that far below the ice at both poles, something very different was happening. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, in a facility that had been hidden for over 200 years, lights were slowly coming on. The Winter's End protocol was working exactly as designed. Massive nuclear reactors that had been dormant since the 21st century were warming up, providing power to systems that had waited patiently for this moment. Computer screens flickered to life, showing data about the facility's status. The air recycling system started working, warming the frozen corridors. Most importantly, the cryogenic chambers began their awakening sequence. In one of these chambers, Captain Marcus Valdez had been sleeping for 2 centuries. He looked like a normal, human, but appearances were deceiving. Marcus was part of Project Lazarus, humanity's most secret military program. His body had been enhanced with genetic modifications that made him stronger, faster, and more resistant to damage than any normal person. But the physical improvements were just the beginning. Marcus's brain had been fitted with a neural interface that connected him directly to computer systems. His reflexes had been enhanced to superhuman levels. His bones were reinforced with metal fibers, and his muscles had been rebuilt with synthetic tissues that were 3 times stronger than normal human muscle. The cryogenic chamber made a soft hissing sound as it opened. Marcus's eyes snapped open immediately. He felt no confusion or disorientation. The enhancement process had prepared him for this moment. He knew exactly where he was and why he was here. Marcus sat up and looked around the chamber. The facility was exactly as he remembered it from his training 2 centuries ago. Everything was designed for one purpose: to wake up Earth's most elite soldiers when humanity faced extinction. A computer voice spoke from speakers in the wall. "Welcome back, Captain Valdez. Please proceed to briefing room 7 for mission, update, and equipment assignment." Marcus stood up and stretched. His enhanced body felt perfect, as if he had slept for 8 hours instead of 200 years. He walked through the corridors of the facility, his bare feet silent on the metal floor. The briefing room contained a large screen and a table with military equipment. Marcus put on the special combat suit that had been designed for Lazarus soldiers. It was black and covered with sensors that would connect to his neural interface. The suit could regulate his body temperature, provide camouflage, and even stop small bullets. "Computer, give me a status report," Marcus said. The screen showed a map of Earth with red markers indicating Cytherian positions. "The planet has been under alien occupation for 6 months, the computer explained. Human population has been eliminated. Hostile forces number approximately 50,000 ground troops and 300 orbital vessels." Marcus studied the information carefully. The Cytherians had made Earth into a fortress, but they thought they were guarding against external threats. They had no idea that their greatest enemy was sleeping beneath their feet. "How many Lazarus soldiers are being awakened?" Marcus asked. "Phase. 1 activation includes 500 reconnaissance specialists across 12 facilities. You are part of Alpha Team, tasked with intelligence gathering and target assessment." Marcus smiled grimly. 500 soldiers didn't sound like much, against 50,000 aliens. But Lazarus soldiers weren't ordinary troops. They had been designed to be the deadliest warriors humanity could create. The computer continued its briefing. Your neural interface has been updated with all available information about Catherian technology, tactics, and weaknesses. Your mission is to gather current intelligence and prepare for Phase 2 activation. Marcus touched a panel on his arm, and information flowed directly into his brain through the neural interface. In seconds, he knew everything humanity had learned about the aliens during the war. Their weapons, their armor, their communication systems, even their biology. "What about weapons?" Marcus asked. A section of the wall opened, revealing an armory, filled with equipment that looked far more advanced than anything used during the original war. Marcus picked up a rifle that was smaller and lighter than old human weapons, but his neural interface told him it was incredibly powerful. These weapons use Catherian energy technology, the computer explained. They were reverse-engineered from captured alien equipment and improved with human innovations. Marcus attached the weapon to his suit and selected additional equipment. Grenades that could disable Catherian electronics, a knife with an edge only a few molecules thick. Sensors that could detect alien life forms from a kilometer away. "One more thing, Captain," the computer said. "The facility's quantum communication system is active. You will be in constant contact with all other Lazarus teams around the planet." Marcus felt the neural interface connect to the communication network. Suddenly, he could sense the presence of other awakened soldiers. Some were already moving through Arctic facilities. Others were preparing to leave their underground bases. Captain Sarah Kim was in Siberia, checking weapons in a facility hidden beneath a frozen lake. Lieutenant Colonel Eva Kowalski was in northern Canada, studying maps of nearby Catherian mining operations. All across the planet, humanity's secret guardians were waking up. "Alpha Team, this is Command," a voice said through the neural link. "Begin reconnaissance operations immediately. Remember, the aliens must not know we exist until Phase 2 is ready." Marcus walked to the facility's exit, which led to a tunnel that would take him to the surface. He had been asleep for 2 centuries, but his purpose was clear. The Catherians thought they had conquered Earth. They were about to learn that they had only awakened its most dangerous defenders. As Marcus made his way through the tunnel, he thought about the aliens celebrating above. They believed humanity was extinct. They had no idea that beneath the ice, an army of enhanced super soldiers was preparing to show them what human warfare really meant when pushed to its absolute limit. Captain Marcus Valdez moved through the snow like a ghost. The Antarctic wind was so cold it would kill a normal human in minutes, but his enhanced body kept him warm. His black combat suit made him almost invisible against the dark rocks and ice. 3 kilometers ahead, a Catherian mining facility stretched across the frozen landscape. Massive machines dug into the earth, pulling out precious metals and loading them onto transport ships. The aliens had built their base right on top of the hidden Lazarus facility, never knowing what lay beneath the ice. Marcus crouched behind a ridge and studied the enemy base through his enhanced vision. He could see heat signatures of 200. Catherian soldiers patrolling the area. Their technology was impressive, but they were not prepared for the kind of enemy they were about to face. "Alpha Team, report positions," Marcus whispered into his neural communicator. "Alpha 2 in position, northeast perimeter," came the voice of Lieutenant Sarah Park. She was hiding behind a pile of mining equipment, only 50 meters from the main entrance. "Alpha 3 ready, southwest approach," reported Sergeant David Chen. He had found a perfect sniper position on a nearby cliff. Marcus smiled. His team had moved into position without triggering a single alien sensor. The Catherians thought their detection systems were perfect, but Lazarus soldiers had been designed to avoid exactly this kind of technology. "Alpha 4 standing by," said Corporal Lisa Jang. She was closest to the communications tower, ready to hack into the alien networks. Marcus activated his tactical display, and information flowed through his neural interface. The base's layout, Guard positions and patrol routes appeared in his mind like a three-dimensional map. His enhanced brain processed the data in seconds, calculating the best approach. Mission objectives are intelligence gathering only, Marcus reminded his team. We observe, record, and leave no trace. The aliens cannot know we exist. Marcus began moving toward the base. His enhanced muscles let him run across the snow without making any sound. His suit's camouflage system adjusted constantly, making him blend perfectly with the environment. A Catherian guard walked past just 3 meters away. The alien was wrapped in thick clothing to protect against the cold, and his breath made clouds in the freezing air. He carried a weapon that could vaporize a human instantly, but he never saw the enhanced soldier hiding in the shadows. Marcus slipped past the guard and reached the outer wall of the facility. His neural interface connected wirelessly to the Catherian security system. To the aliens, their network was completely secure. They didn't know that Lazarus soldiers had been designed to interface with any technology they encountered. Information flowed into Marcus's brain. Base layouts, personnel files, communication logs, supply schedules. Everything the aliens had done on Earth for the past 6 months was suddenly available to him. "This is Alpha 1, Marcus whispered to his team. "I'm accessing their main database. The intelligence is incredible." What Marcus found made his enhanced heart beat faster. The Catherians had not just conquered Earth, they were using it as a staging ground for attacks on other human colonies. Ships were being loaded with weapons and sent to distant star systems where human survivors might be hiding. But there was something else. The aliens were afraid. Their communications mentioned unexpected resistance from other species. The Catherian Empire was not as powerful as they pretended to be. They needed Earth's resources desperately because they were losing battles elsewhere in the galaxy. Marcus moved deeper into the facility, following corridors that were too cold for normal humans, but perfect for his enhanced physiology. He found the main computer center, where alien technicians worked at strange machines covered with blinking lights. "Alpha 4, begin electronic surveillance," Marcus ordered. Corporal Zhang activated her equipment from outside the base. Her neural interface connected to the alien networks through multiple pathways, copying data faster than any normal computer. The Catherians' most secret files were being downloaded without them knowing. Marcus watched the alien technicians work. They were completely focused on their tasks, never suspecting that an enhanced human was standing just 20 meters away. Their 4 arms moved quickly across control panels, managing the mining operations and communicating with ships in orbit. Through his neural link, Marcus could feel his teammates gathering similar intelligence from other positions. Lieutenant Park had accessed the personnel records and learned about Catherian military structure. Sergeant Chen was recording patrol patterns and defensive positions. The aliens were being studied like insects under a microscope. "Alpha 1, this is Alpha 3, came Chen's voice through the neural link. "I've got eyes on their command structure. The base commander is High Tactical Officer Mordak. He reports directly to the orbital command." Marcus filed this information away, knowing the chain of command would be crucial when Phase 2 began. The Lazarus soldiers needed to understand exactly how the aliens organized their forces. A new sound reached Marcus's enhanced hearing. Heavy footsteps were approaching. The computer center. 2 guards were coming this way, probably on a routine patrol. Marcus had seconds to find cover. He pressed himself against the wall near the entrance, his camouflage system adjusting to match the metal surface. The guards walked past him, their alien voices clicking and buzzing in conversation. One of them stopped just centimeters from where Marcus was hiding. The guard tilted his head as if he sensed something wrong. His black eyes scanned the room carefully. Marcus remained perfectly still, controlling even his breathing. His enhanced body produced almost no heat signature, and his suit absorbed any sound he might make. After what felt like hours but was probably only seconds, the guard continued his patrol. Marcus waited until both aliens were gone before moving again. Close call, he whispered to his team. These guards are more alert than expected. Marcus continued through the facility, mapping every room and corridor. He found weapons storage areas, communication centers, and living quarters. Most importantly, he discovered the main power generator that kept the entire base running. Alpha Team, I found their weak point, Marcus reported. One small explosion in the right place would shut down this entire operation. Roger that. Alpha 1, came the reply from Lieutenant Park. Should we proceed with sabotage? Marcus considered this carefully. His mission was intelligence gathering, but the temptation to strike was strong. This base was a symbol of Cytherian dominance over Earth. Destroying it would feel good. But Marcus was a professional soldier, not a revenge seeker. Phase 2 would come soon enough. For now, his job was to learn everything possible about the enemy. Negative Alpha 2, we stick to the mission. Intelligence only. Marcus made his way to the exit, his neural interface storing terabytes of information about Cytherian operations. He had learned about their technology, their tactics, their fears and their weaknesses. Most importantly, he had confirmed that they were completely unprepared for the kind of enemy that Lazarus soldiers represented. The team regrouped at their extraction point, 5 kilometers from the alien base. They had spent 4 hours inside, enemy territory without being detected once. The Cytherians continued their work, never knowing that their most secret information was now in human hands. Mission complete, Marcus reported to command through the quantum communication link. Uploading full intelligence package now. Across the planet, other Lazarus teams were conducting similar operations. Captain Sarah Kim had infiltrated a facility in Siberia and learned about Cytherian supply lines. Lieutenant Colonel Eva Kowalski had observed orbital defense patterns from a base in Canada. Every piece of information was being shared through the neural network. Excellent work, Alpha Team, came the response from command. Phase 2 activation begins in 72 hours. Prepare for full-scale operations. Marcus looked back at the alien base, its lights bright against the dark Antarctic sky. The Cytherians thought they had won. They believed humanity was extinct, and Earth was theirs to exploit. In 72 hours, they would discover their mistake. The ice that covered this continent had been hiding humanity's greatest secret for over 2 centuries. Soon, the real war would begin. But first, Marcus and his team needed to return to their facility and prepare their weapons. The reconnaissance phase was over. Now it was time to show the aliens what enhanced human soldiers could do when they stopped hiding and started fighting. High Stratarch Zefkar was having the worst week of his military career. Reports were coming in from across Earth that made no sense. Equipment failures, missing patrols, and communication blackouts were happening everywhere at the same time. Explain. This to me again, Zefkar demanded, his 4 arms gesturing angrily at the tactical display. How do 3 separate mining facilities lose all power simultaneously? Tactical Officer Vexahan looked nervous. We're not sure, High Stratarch. The power system simply shut down. No explosions, no obvious sabotage. The generators just stopped working. And the missing patrols. 14 teams failed to report in yesterday. We found some of their equipment scattered across different locations, but no bodies. It's like they just vanished. Zefkar felt a cold feeling in his stomach. In his long military career, he had conquered dozens of worlds. Primitive species always tried to fight back after their main forces were defeated. But this was different. This felt organized and intelligent. Have our sensors detected any life signs? Zefkar asked. No, sir. The planet still shows as completely lifeless. Whatever is happening, it's not being done by any species we can detect. Unknown to the Cytherians, beneath the ice and snow of Earth, the largest military awakening in human history was taking place. Hundreds of thousands of Lazarus soldiers were emerging from cryogenic sleep in facilities across the planet. Lieutenant Colonel Eva Kowalski opened her eyes in a facility hidden beneath the Canadian wilderness. Like all Lazarus soldiers, she felt no confusion or disorientation. Her enhanced mind immediately assessed her situation and began planning for combat operations. Eva was a specialist in cold weather warfare. Her body had been modified to operate in temperatures that would kill normal humans. Her reflexes were enhanced to superhuman levels, and her strength was 3 times greater than any ordinary soldier. "Welcome back, Colonel," the facility computer said. "You have been in cryogenic sleep for 212 years. Phase 2, activation is now in progress." Eva stood up and walked to the equipment room. Her combat suit was waiting for her, along with weapons that had been designed specifically for fighting Cytherians. The rifle felt perfectly balanced in her hands, its weight, distributed exactly right for her enhanced physiology. "Computer, give me current tactical situation," Eva ordered. The display showed Earth covered with red markers indicating Cytherian positions. But now there were also blue markers showing Lazarus facilities coming online. Across the planet, humanity's secret army was preparing for war. 500 reconnaissance soldiers have completed intelligence gathering, the computer reported. Full tactical data on enemy positions, strengths, and weaknesses is now available. Phase 2 involves 50,000 combat specialists. Eva smiled grimly. 50,000 Lazarus soldiers against 50,000 Cytherians sounded like even odds. But the aliens had no idea what they were facing. Every Lazarus soldier was worth at least 10 normal troops, and they had been designed specifically to fight technologically superior enemies. "What are my orders?" Eva asked. "You will lead Battle Group North in coordinated strikes against priority targets. Objective is to cripple enemy infrastructure while maintaining operational security." Eva reviewed her mission data through the neural interface. Her targets included 3 major mining facilities, 2 communication centers, and a supply depot. The attacks needed to happen simultaneously to prevent the aliens from coordinating their response. "Battle Group North, this is Colonel Kowalski." Eva spoke into the quantum communication network. "Sound off. Major Thompson, Assault Team Alpha, ready for action. Captain Rodriguez, Demolitions Team Beta, standing by. Lieutenant Park, Infiltration Team Gamma, prepared for insertion." One by one, her subordinates reported in. These were the best soldiers humanity had ever produced, enhanced beyond normal human limits, and trained for exactly this kind of warfare. Eva led her soldiers through the underground tunnels that connected to the surface. The facility had been built 2 centuries ago, but its designers had planned for this exact moment. Everything was positioned perfectly for launching surprise attacks against enemies who thought Earth was defenseless. The surface exit opened in a forest that had been burned by Cytherian weapons months ago. Dead trees provided perfect cover for the enhanced soldiers as they moved toward their targets. Eva's team moved like shadows, their black suits making them nearly invisible in the darkness. "All teams, begin approach to targets," Eva ordered. "Remember, we want to cause maximum damage while leaving minimum evidence of human involvement." 3 kilometers away, Major Thompson was leading his assault team toward a mining facility. The Cytherians had built their base in a valley, thinking the high ground would protect them. They hadn't considered that enhanced humans could move across terrain that was impossible for normal troops. Thompson's soldiers climbed down cliff faces that were almost vertical, their enhanced strength making the descent look easy. They crossed frozen rivers and moved through snowdrifts that would have buried ordinary people. "Assault Team Alpha in position," Thompson reported. 18 guards visible, standard patrol patterns. No sign they suspect anything. Captain Rodriguez had reached the communications center with his demolitions team. The building was heavily defended, but the Cytherians were watching for attacks from outside. They never imagined that enhanced soldiers could infiltrate their perimeter without triggering any sensors. "Demolitions Team Beta ready," Rodriguez whispered. "I can see the main transmission array. One charge in the right place will knock out their communications for the entire continent." Lieutenant Park's infiltration team had the most difficult target. The supply depot was located underground, protected by multiple layers of security. but Park's soldiers had been designed for exactly this kind of mission. Infiltration Team. Gamma has accessed the underground facility, Park reported. Enemy has no idea we're here, ready to proceed with sabotage. Eva checked her watch. Everything was proceeding perfectly. The aliens were completely unaware that hundreds of enhanced soldiers were positioned around their most important facilities. All teams, you are cleared for Phase 2 operations, Eva announced. Execute in 3, 2, 1, go. Across the continent, Lazarus soldiers struck simultaneously. Thompson's assault team hit the mining facility like a hurricane, their enhanced speed and strength overwhelming the surprised guards. Rodriguez's demolitions team destroyed the communications center with precision explosives that left no trace of human technology. Park's infiltration team sabotaged the supply depots, life support systems, making it look like equipment failure rather than enemy action. Within minutes, 3 critical Catherian installations were either destroyed or crippled, but the real shock came when the aliens tried to respond. Their communication systems were down, so they couldn't coordinate with other bases. Their vehicles wouldn't start because the Lazarus soldiers had sabotaged them with techniques the aliens couldn't detect. Most importantly, when Catherian reinforcements arrived, they found no trace of the attackers. The enhanced soldiers had vanished back into the frozen wilderness, leaving behind only confusion and destruction. "This is impossible," Zefkar said as he reviewed the damage reports. "How do you destroy 3 major facilities without leaving? Any evidence of who did it?" Similar attacks were happening all across Earth. In Siberia, Captain Sarah Kim was leading strikes against orbital defense platforms. In South America, Major Jackson was crippling mining operations in the Andes Mountains. Every attack was perfectly coordinated and executed with surgical precision. The Catherians tried to fight back, but they were fighting shadows. Their sensors couldn't detect the enhanced soldiers. Their weapons couldn't hit targets that moved with superhuman speed. Their communication systems had been compromised by technology they didn't understand. "High Stratarch," Vexhan reported nervously. "We're receiving similar reports from facilities across the planet. Equipment failures, missing patrols, destroyed installations. Whatever is attacking us, it's everywhere at once." Zefkar stared at the tactical display as red markers disappeared one by one. His supposedly conquered planet was turning into a nightmare. An enemy he couldn't see was systematically destroying his forces. "Increase patrols," Zefkar ordered. "Double the guards at all remaining facilities. Institute emergency communication protocols." But Zefkar knew his orders wouldn't help much. His enemy was too skilled, too coordinated, and too well-informed about Catherian weaknesses. Somehow the extinct humans had left behind a force that was more dangerous than anything the aliens had faced during the original war. Eva Kowalski watched the alien response from her hidden observation post. The Catherians were scared and confused, exactly as planned. Phase 2 was working perfectly, but this was just the beginning. 50,000 Lazarus soldiers were now active across Earth, and more were waking up every hour. Soon, it would be time for Phase 3, the phase where humanity stopped hiding and started hunting. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, in the most secret facility ever built by humanity, General Alexandra Kane opened her eyes for the first time in 2 centuries. Unlike the other Lazarus soldiers, she was not just enhanced, she was transformed. Alexandra's body had been rebuilt at the molecular level with technology that pushed the limits of human science. Her bones were reinforced with metal stronger than spaceship armor. Her muscles were synthetic fibers that could lift a car. Her brain was connected to the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created. But the most important change was invisible. Alexandra was linked to every Lazarus soldier on Earth through a quantum neural network. She could see through their eyes, think with their minds, and coordinate their actions as if they were all parts of a single organism. "Welcome back, General," said the facility's AI. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Phase 3. Activation is ready. All Lazarus forces are standing by for your command. Alexandra stood up and walked to the command center. Through the neural network, she could feel the presence of 500,000 enhanced soldiers across the planet. They had been waking up in waves. First the reconnaissance teams, then the assault specialists, and now the heavy combat units. "Give me a complete tactical assessment," Alexandra ordered. Information flowed directly into her brain through the neural interface. The AI had been monitoring Earth for 6 months, learning everything about the Catherian occupation. Every alien soldier, every weapon, every weakness had been cataloged and analyzed. "Enemy forces are demoralized and confused," the AI reported. "Phase 2 operations have destroyed 60% of their ground installations. Their communication networks are compromised. Most importantly, they still don't know what they're fighting," Alexandra smiled. The Catherians thought they were dealing with equipment failures and natural disasters. They had no idea that humanity's most elite soldiers were systematically dismantling their occupation force. "What about their orbital fleet?" Alexandra asked. 300 ships in defensive positions around the planet. However, our analysis shows multiple vulnerabilities. Their fleet is designed for fighting other space forces, not for defending against surface-to-orbit attacks. Through the neural network, Alexandra could feel her soldiers preparing for the final phase. Captain Marcus Valdez was leading infiltration teams toward the main Catherian starport. Lieutenant Colonel Ava Kowalski had positioned heavy weapons teams in the mountains, ready to target orbital platforms. But Alexandra's attention was focused on a different target. High Stratarch Zefkar, the alien commander, was aboard his flagship, in orbit above North America. If she could capture him, the entire Catherian force would collapse. "General, incoming communication from the enemy flagship," the AI announced. Alexandra was surprised. The aliens had never tried to communicate with Earth's surface before. "Put it through," she said. The main screen showed High Stratarch Zefkar's face. He looked tired and worried, his forearms moving nervously as he spoke. "Unknown forces attacking our installations," Zefkar said in broken human language. "We know you exist. We want to negotiate." Alexandra almost laughed. After conquering Earth and killing billions of humans, the aliens wanted to negotiate. But she decided to respond. It was time for them to learn the truth. "This is General Alexandra Kane of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice broadcast across all Catherian communication channels. "You are trespassing on human territory." Zefkar's black eyes widened in shock. "Impossible. All humans are extinct. We destroyed your entire species." "You destroyed our cities and killed our civilians," Alexandra replied calmly. "But you never found our real military. We've been sleeping beneath the ice, waiting for this moment." Through the neural network, Alexandra gave the signal her soldiers had been waiting for. Across Earth, 500,000 Lazarus warriors emerged from hiding and began the final assault. The attack was unlike anything the Catherians had ever seen. Enhanced soldiers moved with inhuman speed and strength, their advanced weapons cutting through alien defenses like paper. What had seemed like random sabotage was revealed to be part of a coordinated campaign that had been planned for centuries. Captain Valdez led his team in a direct assault on the main starport. Catherian guards fired at them with weapons that should have vaporized any human, but the enhanced soldiers' armor deflected the energy beams. Valdez himself moved so fast that the aliens couldn't target him, his enhanced reflexes making him seem like a blur. "Starport secured," Valdez reported through the neural link. "Beginning capture of enemy spacecraft. Eva Kowalski's heavy weapons." Teams opened fire on orbital platforms from hidden positions in the Rocky Mountains. Their weapons were reverse-engineered from captured Catherian technology, but improved with human innovations. Energy beams lanced upward from the Earth's surface, destroying alien installations that had seemed untouchable. "Orbital defenses are falling," Eva reported. Enemy fleet is attempting to reorganize, but they're taking heavy casualties. But the most spectacular attack came from an unexpected direction. Thousands of Lazarus soldiers had infiltrated the alien supply ships that regularly traveled between Earth and the orbital fleet. When the signal came, they seized control of the vessels and turned them into weapons. Cytherian cargo ships, loaded with Earth-stolen resources, suddenly changed course and rammed into the alien fleet. Explosions lit up the sky as supply vessels destroyed warships from within. The aliens' own logistics network became a weapon against them. "This is impossible," Zefkar screamed into his communicator. "How many of you are there?" "More than you can imagine," Alexandra replied. Through the neural network, she was coordinating the attacks of 500,000 soldiers simultaneously. Her enhanced brain could process information from thousands of sources at once, making tactical decisions faster than any computer. Zefkar tried to rally his forces, but it was too late. The Cytherian military was designed to fight conventional wars against primitive species. They had no experience dealing with an enemy that combined advanced technology with superhuman capabilities. Alexandra decided it was time to end this personally. She left her command center and walked to a special chamber where her personal spacecraft was waiting. It was unlike any ship humans had built before. Part starfighter, part infiltration vehicle, designed specifically for her enhanced capabilities. The ship launched from a hidden bay beneath the ice, accelerating toward orbit faster than any Cytherian vessel could match. Alexandra's enhanced body could withstand forces that would crush a normal human, allowing her to pilot maneuvers that were impossible for anyone else. "All forces, this is General Kane," she broadcast across the neural network. "I'm going after their command ship. Continue operations until I give the all-clear." Alexandra's ship sliced through the Cytherian fleet like a knife. Her enhanced reflexes let her dodge energy weapons that came from multiple directions simultaneously. Her ship's weapons, based on captured alien technology but refined with human ingenuity, cut through enemy armor with devastating effectiveness. She reached Zefkar's flagship and used her ship's cutting beam to carve through the hull. Her enhanced strength let her rip through metal barriers that should have been impenetrable. She fought her way through the ship's corridors, her personal weapons dropping alien guards faster than they could react. Alexandra found Zefkar in his command center, surrounded by his remaining officers. The alien commander was tall and imposing, but she could see fear in his black eyes. "Surrender," Alexandra said simply. "Your fleet is destroyed. Your ground forces are defeated. You have lost." Zefkar looked around at his officers, then back at the enhanced human who had single-handedly fought through his flagship. "What are you?" he asked. "We are what humans become when you threaten our survival," Alexandra replied. "You called us primitive mammals. You thought extinction was our weakness. You discovered it was our strength." Through the neural network, Alexandra could feel the battle ending across Earth. Cytherian installations were falling one after another. The alien fleet was in ruins. Most importantly, the enhanced soldiers had captured enough enemy technology to reverse-engineer their most advanced systems. "You have a choice," Alexandra told Zefkar. "Surrender now, and we'll let your surviving forces leave Earth peacefully. Continue fighting, and we'll hunt down every Cytherian ship in the galaxy." Zefkar stared at her for a long moment. He had conquered dozens of worlds, but he had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that had prepared for centuries. That had turned extinction into evolution. That had made itself more dangerous than any species in the galaxy. "I surrender," Zefkar said quietly. Within hours, the remaining Cytherian forces were laying down their weapons. The alien occupation of Earth was over, ended not by external rescue, but by the planet's own sleeping guardians. Alexandra stood on the observation deck of the captured flagship, looking down at Earth. The planet was scarred and damaged, but it was free. More importantly, Humanity now possessed Catherian technology and could track down any remaining alien forces in the galaxy. Through the neural network, she could feel her soldiers securing alien facilities and preparing captured spacecraft. For launch, the Catherians